Uhtred of Bebbanburg. You handsome devil, you. Some say he's feminine, and some say he's the pinnacle of a man. Me? I say he's Alexander Draymond, and I want to know what the actual Uhtred looks like. And we're gonna find out. You're watching History and Beyond. I am an announcer, and you are a subscriber. And if you're not, you should be, damn it. No, really, please subscribe. In order to find out what Uhtred really looked like, we're gonna have to do some digging. Unfortunately, he didn't have a MySpace. To do this, let's outline what we know. We know that Uhtred was born around 971 AD, and we know he was born a high-status Northumbrian. To get a full history on Uhtred, check out my other video linked in the description. Okay, anyway, based on these two factors, we have something to work with. First, let's look at Uhtred's family. Uhtred succeeded his father, Waltheof, who succeeded Osolf first. What's interesting about this is the fact that these are both Scandinavian names suggesting Viking ancestors. This makes sense as much of Northumbria was settled by Vikings after the invasion of the Great Heathen Army in 886 AD. The term Anglo-Saxon was first used in the 8th century. The term refers to a unified group with influence from Germanic peoples and Romanized Britons. These Germanic peoples include the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. These groups crossed over into Britain in around 450 to 500 AD. So, most likely, Uhtred was majority Anglo-Saxon, but due to his family's name and the recorded Viking influence, he may have had some Scandinavian in him as well. Based on these factors, we can assume that Uhtred looks something like this. Using the website humanphenotypes.com, I was able to pinpoint phenotypes of the Anglo-Saxon as well as the Tronder, which is related to historic Viking raiders and can be traced wherever Vikings raided, especially northeastern England. So if we can assume Uhtred had these traits, Alexander Draymond is already far from accurate. What about hairstyle, clothing, etc.? On the show, Uhtred is seen either wearing a live animal under a leather harness, a studded tunic, or a leather torso cover with a thin long-sleeve shirt underneath. I'm going to go ahead and say that most of this is correct. Someone of Uhtred's social class would have worn high-quality trousers as well as a tunic made of leather or wool and a fancy cloak usually made with furs. Yes, I said fancy. If he were ever to enter battle, a chainmail coat may have also been worn, as well as an ornate helmet with a nose or face covering. Some sources say this helmet is unique to those of high social status, and you'll be surprised to know that there were not many Saxon helmets found. In terms of hairstyle, Uhtred's man bun is unfortunately not accurate. Sorry ladies. Long hair was typical, but maybe not as long as Uhtred's. A shaved half-head was also something that was surprisingly common, especially after years of Viking influence. This was not something very common for Saxon lords in history, however, so the chances of Uhtred sporting a cut like that are slim. Shoulder-length hair with a long mustache was most common amongst high-class Saxons. When you put the pieces of the puzzle together, the finished product comes out something like this. Well, at least I tried. Thank you for watching History and Beyond. You see that fire? It's fueled by you. Make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to tune in next week so you can learn more and more and more and more and more until you're so smart that you can take over the world.